people. There's a strong hatred among the Jews and the Arabs, which is terrible. It can be, it can be dealt with. It's just beyond. Now, if you go to 19, it says, when you besiege a city for a long time, while making war against it to take it, you shall not destroy its trees by wielding an axe against them. If you can eat of them, do not cut them down to use in a siege, for the tree of the field is man's food. Only the trees which know are not trees for food, you may destroy and cut down to build siege works against the city that makes war with you until it is subdued. There's the trees that are useful, don't cut them, which with the ones that are not, you can cut them to, make some protective means to guide yourself. Today protective means is different. They wouldn't use trees and all those things that much. They have more strong weapons and things like that to guide and protect themselves. But the whole sense of idea is there's nothing peaceful here. What is harmonious about this? This is an advice coming from God. This is an advice coming from Jehovah. And no matter what these people are, my worry is that is it not God, is it Jehovah not created them? You are also to believe from the text that Jehovah created all of them. They were going wayward. Jehovah didn't know. So the omniscience of God has limitations. Are you to accept that? And am I supposed to accept that Jehovah has got limitations as to knowing how the Hittites and the Canaanites and the Hebusites and the Jebusites, how they will become? That he had limitations as to what their future was going to be. If their future was not going to be that terrible, that will generate some hatred or something resentful from him. I mean, tell me, why would he, in every way, why would he sort of allow the creation? Why would he even give room for them to create, to be created? Why would he have even allowed their invention or for them to even exist? Is it the moment that is why he wants to prove that he doesn't want them to exist? So he is taking them off from life. He's taking them by using the hands of the Jews. You offer peace to them, they accept God, they accept to humble themselves. If not, then take their lives. But God also has the ability to take their own life, because he could tell that these people will not accept or they will accept. Now, somebody will not go into that deep and say, I wouldn't think that God can know. Why can't he know? In the times of the Egyptians' time, in the times of Egyptians, it is clearly stated that God could tell even the king's thoughts and what he was about. When the Israelites would pray for God, Jehovah, to come and release them, he knew the state of the conditions that was happening there. He knew straight the condition of the emperor or the Pharaoh at the time. And he says he's going to refuse. I will even make him refuse you, Moses. I will make him refuse you, Moses. And then if you go, tell them that, hey, that I sent you. And at some point I will then let him give in. God, it looks as if the ability of God causing that to happen. That the spirits are causing it. Nobody can clearly see from what is being revealed here. But you must not forget who God is. When we're talking about God, Jehovah, or we're talking about God Almighty or Allah, you mustn't forget what Allah is or who Allah is. If we know who he is, what his abilities are, his continuous and everyday real characteristics, how he exists and what makes him what he is, then we wouldn't have doubt and how to analyze such statements and make our comparison in a straightforward way. So based on what I've come across and what I'm saying of him, it says clearly here, this is what he asked them to do. And I'm doubting that. Even if he asked them to do that, what is the legitimate reason for him to do that? In a sense that he actually made and created these people, the Hivites, the Jebusites, the Canaanites, the Hivites. He created them to exist. He knew the future. He allowed these things to exist. And he, in the very beginning, was creating things that was good. He wasn't creating things that would not be good. Even if he gives us our free will, he gave us our free will in the conditions that he has said that somehow all that he was creating was good. He had a very good and accurate and unique, perfect vision. You have your will. Your will is for you to live in this condition. And so there isn't any reason for me to rethink it and say, okay, God then, what, God lost of his visions or his plans and he deviated? I can't even think of that. But I'm allowed to think of that again because in some point in Genesis, God was feeling sorry for his own actions. So if God feels sorry for his own actions, then we are getting a bit deviating from from his characteristics or something of that nature. But then again, I can't blame anyone but the test itself. There isn't something right. It was coming from somewhere. People were pouring their brains out and putting out there. The consistency as we sort of are supposed to claim. We are claiming something which is not so consistent. It is not as perfect as we try to say. If we're looking into it, as I'm pointing out for you, that it was coming out of it. People were pouring their brains out there. And things, they were not thinking things through. And it was not coming from the bad. A spiritual delusion, a spiritual, what do you call it? Everybody was just saying whatever they want. And they just say whatever they want, they just put it there. And today, you spent your life, or I have to spend my life, believing that it is in accordance with the true source of life. And I'm thinking that that's not it. It's not from the true source of life. Is that my crime? Is this my blunder? I'm not the only one. Intelligent people, if you know this, but they refused. They refuse to make it more publicized. They refuse to unveil it. They refuse to sort of be outspoken about it because despite its awkwardness, it has brought them or a whole institution some sort of great status of finance, of wealth, and others poor and suffering. And the fact that I have billions of glory or I'm being paid mightily by whatever I do, the wages that has come out of this is better than the wages of death in whichever way. So why should I, give in or sort of allow myself to be, sort of try to make corrections and be a good Samaritan? For what reason will I be a good Samaritan? So people will have the same level of gain or worth that I have. People will share things equally in life with me, or the privileges I got that people will call me sir or reverend or pope or master. I will lose all those privileges and those high pride and the pride that I'm getting. Going to lose all those things for what? For nothing. So they have to keep to the pattern. But in them, they don't follow, they don't serve. It is even stated in the Bible by Jesus himself. He said they will neither go to the heavens. They don't follow through with the rules or anything. But they commit it, they put it in the neck of other people to do it, knowing that it is not important. So if we have tried to analyze 20 here, Deuteronomy 20, and we see what is stated there, and it's not something that we should so much, fall for, because God is quite somebody unique. If the Bible pulls out things to tell you that the Bible is reflecting something harmonious or a good book, there's nothing good here. It's not talking peace. Quran is not talking peace either. But we're supposed to see as the most peaceful books, the books that are teaching us to have a good guidance in life. A good guidance is going to give us a good matured guidance that is like training us to become better people. It will give us a sense of strength and good conduct, because there's some things that keeps you afraid. And it's like man is naturally born to be wayward and lawlessness and all that. And if man is not controlled, or human beings are not controlled, then and they will always go wayward. I mean, it's almost like